Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. And I appreciate you joining me here as we continue to look at the book of Proverbs. And we will be in the book of Proverbs, the ninth chapter today, beginning in verse 13, as we continue in what is, in many ways, really still kind of the introduction. The opening chapters of Proverbs describe wisdom in general, encourage the practice of wisdom, and then later in the book we begin to see specific examples of how that wisdom plays out. And one of the big themes that is present in the first nine chapters, and probably just a little bit further, is the presentation of the option, that we have the option of choosing between wisdom, or what Proverbs often calls foolishness, or folly. That we have a choice to make. And that's really what we've been looking at in this chapter. And now in verse 13, we continue that as wisdom is described. And we're, again, the description that we have of wisdom is for the purpose. He's describing wisdom in a way, hoping that his son will choose to follow her leadership. And so, beginning in verse 13, it says, "A foolish woman is clamorous, she is simple and knoweth nothing." So, wisdom and folly both are portrayed as females here. I don't think we should. Matter of fact, I know we shouldn't read read anything into that as far as gender. It's just the way it was. The way Solomon described it, but he contrasts again folly here with wisdom, and as we look at the two. Here we see a foolishness. It's described as a foolish woman, but it's foolishness in general. It says foolish is clamorous. Just simply means they're noisy. She is simple. She is gullible. She knows nothing. She is ignorant. And that is, again, his opening here description of what it means to live in wisdom. And then verse 14 says something that I think is really important for us to catch. It says, "She sitteth at the door of her house on a seat in the high place of the city." That may seem a little odd to you, as it does me, honestly. But what it says about foolishness is foolishness sits at the highest point. In other words, just like if something's up on top of a hill, it's the most prominent, it's the easiest to see. And so what Solomon is saying here is foolishness is easy to find. It's an easy thing to be tricked into. And verse 15 says, "To call passengers who go right on their ways." She's there just making herself available. Again, we have that decision to make. We have choices to make as we go about life. And unfortunately, most of us probably know from experience that many times it seems like the foolish decision at the time is the easiest decision. It's only later that we realize how again, how dangerous, how bad of a decision that it actually was. Who is simple? Let him turn in hither. And as for him that wanteth understanding, she says to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. And so Solomon says, if you follow folly, if you go opposite of God's wisdom, he says of that person, he says they're simple. If you're simple, you'll turn in and you'll follow that kind the world's thinking and the world's way of approving things, and we see that today in so many areas. We see that in law, some of the laws that are being passed and decisions made by our politicians. We see that with I can't remember. I just heard in the last few days somebody said the number was given of what percentage of people believe that men can become pregnant. Um, again, the world's foolishness. And people are just following right into that track. And he says, if we that's wisdom is the opposite of that, and folly is just making herself available. And we see that. Every day on the evening news, I think how much folly is, how much foolishness is out there, how it is deceiving people, and that's the final thing that he says here. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that our guests are in the depths of hell. That ultimately. The foolishness leads to destruction. And again, many of us can probably look back over our life and think of times when we chose the foolish path, the path that we may have known then, but we know now to have been contrary to the wisdom and the will of God. And we see and remember the severe consequences that came from those choices. And Solomon again leaves his son once again with this very critical decision that he's going to have to make. Which path in life will you follow, son? Will you follow the path that wisdom or foolishness, ultimately heaven or hell? And the picture he gives here is again of two beautiful women who are trying to catch his attention, trying to draw him over to them. And so he's warning his son again. Both of them are out there trying to lead us and trying to call us. The question is again for this young man and for each of us every day of our life. We seek the wisdom of God. And as we continue through this great book of Proverbs, as we get into more detailed principles of wisdom, I hope we will together learn what it means and how we govern our life when we follow the wisdom that God has laid out. I hope you'll think about that today. Think of that as you go through life. You think about that. It's like again two different callings, fork in the road, and one leads to destruction, and one leads to blessing. And we have that choice to make multiple times each day. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.